You've probably heard it before. If you don't like the weather in New England, just wait a minute. Consider this, though. Has it ever looked like this? Yes, every 60 years, that is. 6-year-old me could not fathom the rarity of this strange cloud and had just the smallest idea of what it had caused. That day in June 2011, I learned a new word. Attached to what I knew was a thunderstorm was this: a tornado. Like any young kid fixed on something new, I got right to watching these wild storms with the help of these documentaries, YouTube, and these engineering masterpieces. Yeah. But as time went on, I realized that where I live doesn't get many severe storms of this caliber. One local meteorologist called the June 1st tornado and the even stronger 1953 Worcester tornado as examples of 1 in 60-year events, incredibly rare. That's not to say I've never seen anything, though. This waterspout off North Carolina in 2019 was my first and only encounter of anything spinning. Anytime the skies looked angry enough, I've taken a picture, but just that isn't enough. So, enter senior project. What is that, you ask? Well, it's my high school's version of a final exam without the exam. It gives us space to work on whatever we like, is relatively open-ended, and acts as a graded passion project. The time frame that I would have to complete this project would be from February to April of my final semester of high school. So, what's my idea? Just look. My love for getting pictures such as these, especially of the sky, combined with my enthusiasm for the weather, meant that going after severe weather would be a no-brainer. Therefore, the plan was this: I'm gonna storm chase. I soon came up with this to present. 1. A series of photographs documenting weather in our area, ideally pictures of storms, but failing that, pictures of different types of skies from ideal locations. 2. A guide to photographing the sky around us, including a map of locations to see the sky and sample photographs from each location, and a ranked list of best locations to get to for incoming weather. This did get folded into a few different things, but I'll go over that. And last but not least, a video documenting my process, including a 5 to 10 minute documentary style video, the one you're watching, a voiceover recorded by me narrating my process as well as weather, the one you're hearing, a script for the voiceover, and a discussion of my research and inspiration. No explanation needed, you're watching it. A lot of research was not only required, but needed to do any of this. I reached out via Twitter to another chaser and YouTube creator from the region, Ethan Moriarty, to get myself started. Huge shout out to him, by the way. His channel June 1st is great, and you should probably watch those instead of this. After that, I spent a bunch of time plunging into the internet to find info on anything I didn't already know. And I also made this map of spots near my house to head to whenever I wanted to see a storm out to the west without the forest in the way. And believe me, we're in New England. There's a lot of that. Like, a lot. For a camera, I knew a true DSLR would cost far too much and be a bit too complex for the time I had. What I found during research was this cheap little app that could unlock the peak performance of my iPhone. Lightroom on iOS would handle photos, and for video, DaVinci Resolve 18. It's pretty good. Now for chasing itself. I have Skywarn training under my belt from last year, though I haven't used it for much. I know my way around the basic forecasting channels, as well as weather radar, but to this point, I didn't get weather models and soundings very well. A very good portion of my research was spent looking into these specifically, and to put all the jargon into context, I decided to look at something that applied them to an outbreak I was quite familiar with. To prove I had a plan for each time I went to view something, I logged everything I did out in the field from start to finish, with an attempt to show whoever grades this that I tried to be semi-professional and safe in what I was trying to do. Any location I'm filming from needs to look west at a storm moving east and have routes bringing me away from it without putting me in the path of the most dangerous conditions. The single last thing I want is to be caught in a rare tornado or hailstorm that I cannot see due to rain, trees, and hills. Anyone in the weather community would know how much of a problem this has been on the plains this year and in previous years, so I obviously do not want to get caught with my guard down and risk my life. That and my mom would not appreciate it at all. All of this is figured out by March, so let's skip to then. The temps were rising and the snow was melting, so as soon as I got the word, it was time to chase. Well, chase sunny days in the early spring, that is. While the Midwestern and Southeastern US had gotten their severe season underway, the Northeast was still days away from having tangible thunderstorms, so the best I could do was try the locations out and see how photogenic the views were. Thankfully, both the hills and program played nice with me as I got comfortable filming and taking pictures.
And today I love myself, so I love others.
Some spots had me going in circles in my car just to get a shot, like this one. This spot, however, worked from the moment I pulled up to it, and from a bunch of different angles. My expedition on the 22nd was bookmarked with anticipation for the next morning. The reason being, reasons including indefinitely limited to my future meteorology studies brought me to this central Pennsylvania hotel room, looking southwest. What was essentially a long blob of thunderstorms was moving through, and part of it scraped close enough to State College that the sound got me to the window. In the midst of my horrendous camera work, this happened.
Whoa.
Yep, that's a bolt, and it only took me driving to Pennsylvania to see one. In true Northeast fashion, my view to the south was blocked by a bunch of treed ridges, though the other side had begun to spin a bit. Nothing came of it, but damn it would have been funny. Two days of blustery school touring later, the road was hit once again. Back home, some light showers that came in during the afternoon hours created some pseudo shelf-like structures, while I tried out a few more local lakes. Just a few days after this video was shot, a historic tornado outbreak would cross the Midwest, and the day after would be a small encore in the mid-Atlantic states. For my area, it wouldn't be much, but it would certainly be storms. With time beginning to run short, I would take anything I could get. While EF4 tornadoes roared through elsewhere, the east was getting set up for a muggy and rainy Saturday morning. As this rain filtered out and the clouds broke by mid-afternoon, a cold front was driving a disorganized but electric line of weather out of New York. A little after 7:35, I was in position in Harvard, Mass, where two separate thunderstorms had got their act together and greeted me with a light show. This northern cell took more of a weak supercellular appearance, and its amples stretched well off to the east. The southern cell, though, had much more to show. Fast fading daylight meant that it couldn't get much in the way of structure, but these bolts all but made up for that. After about 25 minutes of letting them approach, the southern cell in particular seemed to be firing off new convection right at me. A little after 8, I was out of there. I opted to watch the rest on radar from home and didn't get any more footage, because that was all I needed. Just like that, we were done. Until this happened, well, would you look at that? It's frickin' Weather Nation, baby, yeah! Okay, let's be realistic for a second. Weather Nation does this to a ton of people who might happen to tag something weather-related, and that's what I did after one of my better lightning shots, so yeah, I'm not getting paid for it. Not that it matters, it's not that good of a clip anyway. But the point is, not only was having this happen something I was really holding out hope would happen, it helped me feel like the work I'd done was worth it. That these shots were going to be seen and enjoyed by a lot of people. I took that thought process into editing this video and the photos that I'm going to leave you with, and that's really what made this project more than a school project. It was a passion project. Sure, everything here is really basic. There are a total of 4 sound effects and 1 public domain song just per joke, and the only thing I know how to do in terms of color grading is just make everything really saturated. But learning to do any of this has made me want to do it again. The style that I made this in, assuming I'm out there becoming a more competent chaser and stocking up on pictures and video, I think might just be a thing as New England's spring and summer kicks into high gear. Yeah, I know, this feels like an essay type of conclusion since I've never ended a nearly 15-minute long video. So I'll just cap it off with this view of Mount Wachusett. In that case, thank you for watching.